Okay, we're going to walk you through just some of the resources that we have for those of you who are managing teams and how you can build them up stronger, more resilient, more able to work together and function together. All of the resources that I'm sharing with you are free to anyone. They're available in English and French, and they're downloadable from the Workplace Strategies website. So let's get started. The first one I want to share with you is psychologically safe interactions. This workshop came about because we were looking at workshops on bullying. And we realized that most of the time when somebody is accused of bullying, they are absolutely mortified. They say that wasn't their intention. They weren't trying to bully. They were either stressed themselves or trying to express a point, or they were passionate about something. Because of this, we realize that rather than talk to somebody about bullying when they think that's not who they are or what they do, that we could talk to our team instead about the way we interact and how we can do it in a way that is more psychologically safe. So in this workshop, you bring everybody together for about 2.5 hours. Your learning objectives, the point of all this is to make sure that everybody on your team feels safe to speak up about concerns. They don't let them simmer until they become a problem. They learn how to resolve most disagreements on their own, face to face with the person that they have a disagreement with, rather than always having to have it facilitated. And they learn to respectfully intervene when they're witnessing inappropriate behavior, so that again, the team can have each other's backs, that they can support each other to be that high functioning team that they want to be. And to make sure that everybody on the team feels included and valued. They are taught how to have a psychologically safe discussion and what that means. They talk about what the intent is, that we want to make every interaction safer by thinking about when someone is disagreeing with us and we feel that they're insulting our intelligence, to think about how we react when the leader gives us feedback that we feel is negative, and how we react when someone appears to be taking credit for the work that we did, or a client, a patient, a customer is upset and taking it out on them. All of these interactions can add up to unpsychologically safe workplace. We want to help people think about these things and how we could do it differently. We walk them through a series of questions to help improve their awareness that their intention is not always the same as how people perceive what they say or do. And once we're aware of that, then we can be more conscious, more purposeful about our interactions. We get them to check the assumptions that they may be making about what others are saying or doing, in order that we don't react to people based on an incorrect assumption. And we teach about moral courage, how to respectfully intervene. You know, I always say that if I think you are intimidating or bullying and I get in your face about it, saying you're not being very nice, I am only bullying the bully. And so how do we respectfully intervene is the point here. And you get your group to decide how they think it should be done and to agree to do it going forward. At the end of this workshop, and you'll see at the end of many of our workshops, we ask people their final takeaway. What is it you are going to do differently as a result of what you engaged in this workshop, so that you can have measurable outcomes, not just a feel-good kind of conversation, but actual changes in behavior. And another workshop that we have that is for teams is called Leveraging Team Wisdom. In this one, you're really bringing people together to do some of the team building activities that are available on the website, but specifically to get to know the members of the team better and to improve the way we interact. So we're connecting in both a practical and effective manner. We're learning to address obstacles together in a way that helps us to deal with challenges and to learn from each other, not just to be silos working on our own, struggling on our own, or even succeeding on our own, that we learn how to do this as a team. Some of the activities are learning how to do a team huddle in a way that's quick, that's effective, that can be done on a regular basis, to an activity about how do we identify the obstacles in our projects, in our work, and how do we overcome them together? What are some coping strategies? What are some tactical strategies? How do we do this together? And there's an exercise on learning from the past where those who are less experienced can learn from those who are more experienced. And by more experienced, I mean those of us who have fallen down and gotten up again. And we can share what that's like, how we did it, and what makes it easier for us to deal with those challenges now. We also have a lot of team building activities that you can choose rather than an entire workshop. Ones that help build cohesion, that improve the way we communicate, solve problems. And then there's activities that build resilience, either individually or as a team, so that we can deal with both life stressors and work stressors more effectively, and wellness activities that are just good for the development of every person. Now, here's the question that comes up. We're a busy team, we've got a lot to do. How can we take time for these workshops, for these team building activities? And I'd just like to suggest that in those times when we feel pressured and overwhelmed, that's also the most important time for these activities that can help us as a team come together, have each other's backs, build resilience, deal with the stressors. But rather than adding time to people's schedules, think about what you already do. Do you already have weekly meetings? Can you carve 15 minutes out of that meeting for some of these team building activities? Do you usually have project kickoffs and wrap-ups? Could you put it into those times when you're starting something new, when you're finishing something new? Or do you have regular, yearly, bi-yearly team building events? Can you start to add these kind of activities into it? And can you use it to address an issue? For instance, we talked about identifying obstacles. If you're at a place in a project where you seem to be stalled, could you take that team building activity and say, let's step back, let's examine this issue and use it to help us to move forward? You don't have to lead all of these. You could assign another employee to lead them, giving them a chance to show their leadership capabilities, to hone those skills, but also to free you up and still have your team engaged. So lots of different ideas about how you can do it. Now, back to David and Jill to see, are there any questions from our audience about these team resources?
I have a question from Sarah Jenner.
Great.
She says, I love these tools. I love the idea of the takeaway at the end. If you are a team currently going through a rough time, such as an investigation for harassment, when is the ideal time to run a team building workshop?
Yeah, it's a great question, Sarah. And it can sometimes feel that we are not really listening if we're doing, especially the rah-rah type team building in a time of really high stress. And so I think it is really good to look at what kind of activities are you doing? Are you doing activities that are realistic about the challenges and realistic about wanting to find solutions? If you feel that the team is not ready for that, then maybe it is worthwhile to hold off. But when you look through all the team activities that are available on the Workplace Strategy site, you will find some that may be appropriate for you even in the most stressful of times. Read the directions on the team building activity, because in most cases we say we don't recommend this when there's real challenges going on, but then some of them, they're good just literally any time. Any other questions?
I think we have time for one more question, and it's coming from Ida Brass. And she says, as a consultant or facilitator, does the facilitator guide that goes along with the workshop have information about each slide and how or when to use the workshop?
Thanks, Ida. Great question. The facilitator guide has two parts for every single slide. The first part, if it's relevant, is facilitator notes, where we want to give you, as the facilitator, a little bit more information about it, and even some answers that you might get from the audience, so that you're prepared either if they're stuck or if they're not understanding the question properly. So that's just information for you. Then we have suggested wording, which you can use verbatim. You can just read it and facilitate that way. But you can also read it and then put it into your own words or add your own stories and customize as you see fit. But the answer, Ida, is yes. For every single slide, the information is provided. So thank you very much, everyone, for the questions. And remember that these resources and a lot more are available on workplacestrategiesformentalhealth.com.